disruptive.
Weird thing to happen. So guess what? They're making the announcement, folks. They're making the announcement of, hey, we're doing something, so shut the hell up. This is NBC News saying House committee subpoenas the Clintons and several top DOJ officials for testimony about Jeffrey Epstein. Which all that tells me is this is the Trump administration telling its own base that, hey, yeah, we're doing something, so guys, shut up. Shut up, okay? Stop asking about what we're doing. Stop inquiring more details, okay? We're doing stuff, okay? Just shut up and go back to talking about Sydney Sweeting and jeans. I don't care. Just shut up about it. Just like all the, outcry of Tulsi Gabbard announcing all those details about Barack Obama and the Clinton campaign that we already knew about. We already discovered all this. We already know that's been the Russiagate was a hoax. We know about all this. We know about how they covered up for Joe Biden, how George Clooney infiltrated the DNC, how Hunter Biden and his laptop was a cover up. We all know about this. We all know about this. What we want to know, for the majority of people on both the left and the right, is there is actually going to have some justice to this. Is there actually going to be substantive evidence for them to actually do the right thing and prosecute people? Because we expected, Barack Obama to prosecute all the heinous crimes that the Bush administration did. They never did that. Just like how George Bush never prosecuted Bill Clinton. Just like how they never prosecute. No administration ever gets prosecuted. So forgive me if I'm not surprised or shocked or clapping for joy on this. Because it really is just theatrics. It really is just like a soap opera. So NBC News confirms the House committee investigating the Jeffrey Epstein case issued subpoenas Tuesday to former President Bill Clinton, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, and several top former Justice Department officials for their testimony. The House Oversight Committee announced it had sent out the deposition subpoenas to the Clintons, former Attorney Generals Loretta Lynch, Eric Holder, William Barr, Merrick Garland, Jeff Sessions, and Alberto Gonzalez, a former FBI Director James Comey, and Robert Mueller for testimony related to the horrific crimes perpetrated by Jeffrey Epstein. Committee Chairman James Comer also issued a subpoena to the Justice Department for records related to Epstein, a convicted sex offender who was found dead in his jail cell in 2019 while he was awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges. So, the irony of this is that the people issuing the subpoenas, hoping to get answers from one side of this giant cabal of master criminals, are the same people that lied to you about the raw footage that Jeffrey Epstein self-deleted himself. And as we uncovered, as CBS confirms, that was all completely a hoax. That the video footage that they released to people thinking it was going to be a gotcha, we finally gave you proof, was altered. They made it up. They mashed two pieces of footage together, saved it numerous times. It's a completely doxed video, and they sent it out to people, making you believe that that was proof of their story. So they're covering up their own actions by putting subpoenas onto people that were covering their actions. As in the words of George Carlin, it's a big giant club. It's a big giant club. That's what makes us so hysterical about all this. That subpoena directs the Justice Department to turn over the full completed unredacted Epstein files to the committee on or before August 19, 2025. So, well, at least we know the end date of the world. Because we know how powerful these Epstein files are. We know how detrimental it is that if anything got released, that the whole power structure. So August 19th, be aware for hurricanes, volcanoes exploding, a meteor shower, the locusts, nuclear warfare, like, be on high alert, I guess. Because they will do anything to keep this under wraps on how powerful this Epstein client list is. We're talking about international law. We're talking about an international crime here. This is not just America. The Justice Department has faced furious backlash after it announced last month, after its review of the Epstein case, no other people were expected to be charged and no further information about the case would be released. The cover letter to the former president calls for him to sit for a deposition on October 14th to answer questions about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. By your own administration, you flew on Jeffrey Epstein's private plane 4 separate times in 2002 and 2003, Comer wrote. You were also allegedly close to Miss Ghislaine Maxwell, an Epstein co-conspirator, and attended an immediate dinner with her in 2014, 3 years after public reports about her involvement in Mr. Epstein's abuse of minors. The letter said, misspelling the first name of Ghislaine Maxwell, who is serving a 20-year prison sentence for her role in helping Epstein sexually abuse teenage victims. So, the most notorious criminal that they just sent to a less to a less secure facility. They can't even spell her name right, for one thing. After they just met with her, that Donald Trump is considering pardoning her. Yes, pardoning her after simple, basic questions that have nothing to do with the Epstein case whatsoever. And they're going to do the exact same thing with the Clintons. The exact same thing. And notice how all the questioning that the House committee is posing on the Clintons is after his presidency. Why not during? Why not during? When he's commander-in-chief, when he has the highest responsibility in the entire country. You don't think that Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, the Clintons in the 90s, you don't think that there was something going on with that? But no, they're talking about after the fact. They're talking about after Bill Clinton no longer has federal power. Isn't that kind of interesting? Isn't that kind of interesting? And we know that Bill Clinton, the Clintons, are very deeply involved with Epstein. We know that Bill Clinton has been on the Lolita Express, which is Jeffrey Epstein's plane, about 27 times. Not 4, 27 times. And they claim that, oh, we're just going for massages. That's the cover word. It's a massage that these underage girls, these underage children are being flown from their home states, from their home cities, being kidnapped by Ghislaine Maxwell just to give massages to the president, to giving massages to powerful bankers, to Prince Andrew. Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's what even Megyn Kelly wanted to tell us. That, oh, it's not a big deal. So what? They're 16, 17-year-olds giving massages to creepy, powerful, disgusting, soulless individuals. Who cares about that? Let's talk about something else. So, I find this hysterical that they're bringing this to attention because it's really just theatrics. And I know this because of Whitney Webb's reporting on this. Whitney Webb, who I can't not recommend more of this book, One Nation Under Blackmail. I highly recommend people checking this out if you want more details on the Epstein, on this criminal cabal that truly runs the world. So that has been confirmed at this point. It's a theory that had been rolling around for quite some time, but it's now been more and more confirmed that the president doesn't actually control America, that the Prime Minister of Canada doesn't have control over Canada. The people that truly control the world are the sinister mafia men and women that you don't see their face, they're unelected, and they hold unsubstantial power because of blackmail and deception. Because they have control, they have acknowledgement, they have power over powerful figures. So here's Whitney Webb in an interview here going to tell you that the subpoenas on the Clintons are not going to be effective because the Clintons are tied to the rest of the establishment, which they're not getting subpoenaed, which is proof this whole thing is ineffective and completely worthless. It's all theatrics.
What has been the most mind-blowing thing that you have uncovered for yourself?
It would have to be the stuff about Jeffrey Epstein and the Clinton White House, specifically the person that he was meeting with at the White House, who on most occasions was Mark Middleton, who was assistant to the chief of staff, Mac McLarty.
So Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were meeting frequently with Bill Clinton while he was president. So notice how the House committee did not bring that to attention. They're not concerned about while he was president. They want to investigate after. Why would that be the case? Why would you not want to investigate your whole tenure of politics? Why would you not be concerned while he was president of the United States? Because the same people that are trying to prosecute the Clintons are also complicit. They're also guilty, which is why they're softballing this, which is why this is nothing. The same with the Ghislaine Maxwell testimony. Oh, she sat down with the deputy DOJ and, the deputy attorney general asked her tough questions and she answered all of them. Oh my God, we're finally getting answers. No, you're not. No, you're not. All it is just a cover to shut you guys up, to make you believe that something's being done while they're giving a free pass to the most diabolical criminals known to mankind. That's all this is. It's a joke. The entire Justice Department is a joke. And while they're convicting people and throwing them into the alligator Alcatraz for writing op-eds or God forbid, criticizing a foreign nation, we're allowing to have a free pass to a highly regarded international conglomeracy of sex traffickers of minors that have diabolically destroyed lives. And I know this because of all the years, all the times we have seen testimonies, we have seen interviews. Look at all the years Virginia Giuffre was appearing on the media and talking about how devastating it is. Look at all the other victims that have spoken out. They've never been covered in the mainstream media of America, but I know that 60 Minutes Australia covered a bit of it. I know other outlets in other countries. I think RT did something about it. So there's documented proof out there. You just got to have the courage to look for it. Let's see the rest of it.
Last year, the understanding was that Epstein had met with Middleton about 5 times. The Daily Mail, which is a UK outlet, last December published the complete visitor logs of Epstein at the Clinton White House, and it was about 17 times the amount of visits that actually did take place. You would think that would generate some coverage in the US, but no US outlet covered it. And then a few months.
So they didn't cover it then, and they're not covering it now. Why is that the case? If you want the full evidence of the Clintons being involved in Epstein, wouldn't you think this would be a big deal? That you personally invited Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell right to the White House while you were president? Don't you think that's conflicting? Wouldn't you think that's troubling for the nation? Wouldn't you think that's disturbing that people need to know they invited a convicted sex trafficker, a network slew of perverts and fans of the playground to the White House? They're not going to touch this.
Later, Mark Middleton turns up dead, and he turns up dead in a very disturbing way. First of all, his body is found on a property that is linked to the Clinton Foundation, an NGO called Heifer International. Second, he is found hung from a tree. And thirdly, he has a shotgun wound to the chest. And subsequently, a court order is issued within Arkansas to prevent any sort of video footage, photograph, any sort of media depicting the death scene. And it's ruled a suicide in Clinton, era fashion, I guess you could say.
So that's the Clintons for you. That's Clintons for you. And the Bush administration did not look into it, did not prosecute anything. Same with the Obama administration. They didn't look into George W. Bush because Barack Obama's words were, well, those crimes happened in the past. We got to look to the future. Which is why it's great right now that they're putting legislation out for future thought crimes on people. We don't want people to have a wrong mentality. We don't want people to have wrong think. So thank God we're focusing on future thought crimes and not horrific murders and sex trafficking that's been going on for years, for decades, involving a slew of people all around the world. Wow. That's pretty big. That's pretty big. That's why I trust someone like Whitney Webb, who's been on it from the start, and why she published that fantastic book. I can't recommend it enough. It's so great because it really gives a deep dive to everything, not just the Clintons, not just the Obamas, not just Trump. It reveals the entire structure, and that's why they kept this on their wraps, because it's about the power structure that it holds. And if the Epstein files got out, if people know about this, if people realize how malicious your leaders are, the powerful figures may be, well, how diabolical they are, their influence, their power, their money, their everything completely collapses. That's why they will never, ever actually truly expose this network. Because it's one nation under blackmail. Exactly what the title says there. Here's Whitney Webb again. This is her on Kim Iverson's show. And as Cam has pointed out, Whitney Webb exposes the hidden power structure controlling the world. Oligarch networks tied to the intelligence agencies like the CIA and the Mossad serve Wall Street bankers and organized crime, orchestrating coups for corporate giants. Big tech, born from CIA, DARPA funding, is the modern mob. Its CEOs linked to figures like Epstein. So this is ultimately why this seems like a charade. Like every time we think we're getting ahead, it's a carrot. It's a carrot in front of our nose, and we're going backwards on this situation. Oh, you're subpoenaing the Clintons. That's great. That are you going to release the information? Probably not. Probably not. In fact, the House Committee confirmed that it's more than likely they're going to keep it under wraps. So why even have the subpoena? Why even inform the public that you're going to go after the Clintons if they're not allowed to see what the subpoenas are about? It's just so fascinating. But here's Whitney Webb to confirm that.
What I attempt to do, I mean, basically, at the end of the day, these entities and this power structure have been successful because people have not really been aware of what's been going on and how interconnected a lot of these oligarch networks ultimately are, and how connected they are to our national security state. Because a lot of people, if we're just talking about back to my point earlier, talking about Mossad, talking about the CIA. Who does the CIA work for? Who does Mossad work for? In the case of the CIA, it's very clear that it was created by Wall Street bankers who entered into questionable alliances with organized crime, and bankers and organized crime are both ultimately interested in expanding their rackets and is making as much money as possible. And so eventually you have certain economic networks, and these alliances dominated what is now corporate America, the multinational corporation. That's who the CIA has, throughout most of its history, conducted coups on behalf of. So we have to go a level up if we really want to know what's going on, and look beyond CIA and Mossad and see, who's really, at least at the scale up, a key part of the power structure that's really running the show, because, it's important for them that the public doesn't really look that high up, because then it just seems like we can't really do anything about it. But I think people ultimately can. And what I've argued a lot for a long time is that people need to try and extricate themselves from the biggest iteration of what this mob is today, which is really big tech, which is, again, a lot of these CEOs connected to figures like Epstein or other questionable associations. And also almost all of the big Silicon Valley companies today have origins or funding tied to the CIA or to DARPA or to entities like that. And that we should boycott them as much as possible and not use their services as much as possible and not be dependent on these entities, because if we're dependent, then, they can do whatever they want to us.
Yeah.
And so, the best way to not give up is to work to be as independent of those systems as possible. Because if we're dependent on them, you're basically a slave to these people at the end of the day, which is what I think most Americans do not want. But I think there's a lot of efforts being made to sort of keep people in the box of where they think, oh, well, if I vote for this party or this politician and this candidate, I don't have to do anything to ensure my independence from the system. I can remain dependent on the system and hope that politician XYZ will magically save the day and fix the country and, end this ruling power of the 80 plus years of, intelligence and organized crime. Yeah, I think it's.
So that reveals everything. That is pretty much a great sum up of everything, of the Epstein clientele list, to how so many countries, came together to basically enact the same policies when it came to COVID, when it comes to censorship, when it comes to climate change, when it comes to all this stuff. It's exactly that. It's because your leaders work for someone, and it's not for you. They want to turn you into slaves because the people that truly run the world, they're deeply involved in intelligence agencies, which are deeply involved into the media, or deeply involved in politicians, which are deeply involved into corporations and everything. Like, it is a giant slew of international criminals, of international conglomeracies, of powerful entities, and they extort their power using blackmail techniques, using the ability to manipulate people, using the ability to bring people in perverted measures. So it's not even really about, and I said this before, it's not even really about the pedophilia or fan of the playground. I can't even say the right word because YouTube. That's just how crazy this all is. You can't even say the crime that they're being convicted of on social media. You can't even say that. That's the West for you. That's the West for you. That's censorship control. But ultimately, it's not even about protecting, friends of the playground. It's more about keeping that structure alive and as much as possible, because that's what turns you into a servant for the system, for the oligarchy. You become their slave. And once you find out more about this, you completely attack the system. And more people realizing this is going to delegitimize the ability to turn you into this subservient slave to the oligarchy, to the system, to the powerful entities that are constantly abusing you, exploiting you at every point and turn. So that's incredible. That's incredible. And I thought about this for a while. If you told me this 10 years ago, I would have probably thought that, oh, that's just an Alex Jones talking point that he would go into slur about, the globalists and lizard people. I would think you were nuts. But now with Epstein, with COVID, with climate change, with censorship, with everything that's going on right now in the past, decade, even maybe longer, it kind of all connects to a similar maniacal, evil mafia system. It's almost like we're living the Godfather life without the Marlon Brando entertainment value. Like, it literally is like a bunch of hitmen that are running around, a bunch of mafia manifestos that are just running around, having control over everything. And that's why I find it hysterical with the elbows up crowd, going berserk over, oh my God, Donald Trump might take our sovereignty. Our precious Canada might be going away. Dude, your precious Canada has been gone for years because of this. Because we sold ourselves out to the WEF. We sold ourselves out to the mafia. So you're protecting nothing. You're protecting nothing. All those elbows up, fighting against Trump, taking over sovereignty, it's already over. Their sovereignty is way gone. And it's going even further to the mafia now that we have a central banker as our prime minister. Because he definitely serves this mafia manifesto. He doesn't control Canada. He's just a puppet. He's a mascot to the rest of this oligarchy. So that's incredible. That's very powerful. And let me just remind you that, again, I find this so hysterical, the hypocrisy of this, that the Trump administration, especially people like Pam Bondi. Now, what's specifically hypocritical about Pam Bondi is that while Jeffrey Epstein was being convicted in Florida, his first conviction in Florida, who was the state attorney general responsible for overseeing that criminal case? Pam Bondi. Pam freaking Bondi. And then, surprise, surprise, when they needed a new attorney general for Trump's administration, after they kicked out Matt Gaetz for enticing him and honeypotting him, because they knew that Matt Gaetz was a dangerous individual, not because of the things that they claim, but he's a dangerous individual because he wouldn't serve the Mossad, he wouldn't serve AIPAC, he wouldn't serve the people that truly run the world, this criminal oligarchy. So they kicked him out and they brought in Pam Bondi. And surprise, surprise, that all of a sudden, as soon as she enters in, that no mention about Epstein, no mention about this. And then when people start asking, she came forward and say, look, okay, we're going to give you this video. It's botched, but we'll tell you it's real. We'll tell you it's raw footage. Shut the hell up. I don't know why you keep bringing this up. So that's what's so hypocritical. And that's why the Clinton subpoenas, all these subpoenas of all the individuals, it's nothing. It's nothing. It's there purposely to trick you. It's there as theatrics to make you think that, oh yeah, we're finally going after them. They're not going to do squat. They're not going to do squat. Remember Lock Her Up? Remember that? That was from 2016. What happened to that? They had to wait till 2025 to finally say that they're going to give a subpoena to Clinton. Wow. Talk about a very snail-paced justice system. Barely any justice. But they tell you it's for the victims that they don't name, or they don't investigate, or they don't cry out that Virginia Giuffre, one of the top Epstein accusers, was killed. Not by herself. They don't give a cry for her. So here's James Comer. This is him breaking. These are all the people that they're starting to question. So Secretary of State Clinton, Bill Clinton, Merrick Garland, James Comey, William Barr, Alberto Gonzalez, Jeff Sessions, Robert Mueller, Attorney General Loretta Lynch, Eric Holder. So this is them doing theatrics of saying, hey, we're on top of this. We're going to do something, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. which is why people are not going to shut up about this. That's what they're hoping. They're hoping this subpoena shuts people up. But obviously, people are smarter than this. People can realize what faux pas this is, and you get results like this. So this is from Democratic Wins Media, and it says, breaking, Dropkick Murphys just played the stunning montage of Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein at their concert. Retweet to make sure every American sees this. So, all this is for show, because they don't want to admit that the Republicans, including Donald Trump, are also complicit in the scandal, and Donald Trump was deeply involved with Epstein the same way Clinton was, the same way the Bush were, the same way the Obamas were, the same way every person was that wants you to shut the hell up and move on about an international sex trafficking network. So here's a bit of this. I don't know if I can play the audio, so let me just mute this, but here's the footage. So they're showing the New York article. So luckily there's some people that are not completely falling into this. They're not going to their sides. They're not, defending their political party and slamming the other, which is exactly what this is. We've been trained to do. They're realizing that both sides are complicit. They're the same coin, and these are powerful entities that master and control and brainwash and mind control people to think that there's going to be justice when there isn't going to be, because they're all criminals. They're all criminals, and they will never reveal it, because exactly what Whitney Webb said, they're powerful entities you don't even know about, that control the intelligence agencies, that control the presidency, that control the prime ministership in Canada here. That none of these people work for you. They work for their masters. They work for their oligarchs. It's basically just like, it's like a brothel. It really is like a brothel. And that's not a pun intended for sexually exploiting minors. But here's just to remind people that Donald Trump, when he got married to Melania, guess who was in attendance? Mr. and Mrs. Clinton. And so much so that Donald Trump donated to the Clinton Foundation. Did you expect me to believe that, oh, we're going to be tough, we're going to go after them? Yeah! Good buddies. They're good buddies. The Clintons endorsed Donald Trump to run. They told him to run for a Republican, hoping that he would win nomination using the Pied Piper strategy, and Hillary Clinton lost to him. That was a strategy conducted by her. Same with Russiagate. When the Democrats realized that they were going to lose the election, that they lost their touch, they lost their appeal, they made up this conspiracy to frame Donald Trump, even though they are the ones that brought Donald Trump to politics. It's a giant club, folks. It's a giant club. Here's this. This is Chelsea Clinton's wedding. There's Bill. There's Chelsea. And look who's also in attendance. Ghislaine Maxwell. Go figure. Go figure. How about this? How about the fact that the Clinton children, Chelsea and Ivanka Trump, are best friends? It looks like they're political enemies. It looks like Romeo and Juliet that, oh my God, they can never be. She's this and she's that. Oh my God. Urgh. Yeah, behind, when the cameras are off and the press is not covering this, yeah, they're close friends. They know each other's secrets. They know how corrupted their families are. And you remember this? You remember Donald Trump giggling with Barack Obama at Jimmy Carter's funeral? Remember how cozy they look? Oh, it's so cute. The former president and the current president yucking it up. Almost like they're playing a joke on you. Almost like they're laughing at you. Like, that's a mockery of all this. So when Tulsi Gabbard, director of national intelligence, made that bombshell report of, yeah, we're going after the Obamas, and here's all the conspiracies that they conducted and all the stuff that they've done, do you think it's going to lead to anything? Do you think they're actually going to prosecute anybody? God, no. God, no. So this laughter is mostly at you. They're mocking you. They're mocking you to think that your political party, no matter who you vote for, Democrat, Republican, red or blue, no matter who, both sides are going to screw you. That's what they're giggling. They can't believe that people still serve the oligarchy. They can't believe that people still believe in this duopoly. They still can't believe that people will sacrifice their critical thinking skills, wipe away, and turn themselves into mindless robots or zombies to serve whatever political establishment suits them. And that's why you get mucks like Stephen Colbert and Bill Maher that turned away against their legacy, or even Howard Stern, which we're going to do a segment next on, turning their dynamic legacy, just completely doing a 180. And now they have become the thing that they mocked. All because this powerful entity, as Whitney Webb stated there, that people control the world, they control the media, they control culture, they control all this stuff. So everything we're told, everything that we're supposed to believe, everything from foreign affairs to even culture wars. We know that the culture war and wokeism was taken from BlackRock, was taken from Vanguard. Why? So we can get people infuriated on meaningless crap as a distraction while the billionaire class siphons out your economy. That's why they want you focused on Sydney Sweeting and jeans. As if we're supposed to care about a blonde selling clothing. Like we're supposed to care about that. We're supposed to be angered or cheering on about that while this is going on. So prepare for shock and awe to realize that nothing's going to be done. The system still goes on, and it's going to take a massive overhaul of institutions, systems, and a lot more people coming together outside of political structure, outside of politics, to really expose this. And they're not going to ever let people expose this because of how much power it has control over every single person on planet Earth.